Stoke-on-Trent can be a beautiful place. You can look at a sprawl of urban messes one way, turn 90 degrees and see a wonderful green countryside on the other. It's a mesh of man and nature, and luckily, I live here and like both. One of my favourite places is a little outside of it, at the top of the hills of Silverdale Country Park. It's about 1.5 miles away from my house on Orme Road, and you can see all of Stoke, Kiel and other cities far away at the top. It's a beautiful reservation, a small ecotopia, and everyone wants an ecotopia. Walking a straight path from here to there, it shouldn't take long to visit. But there isn't a straight path. It's blocked by Wally's Quarry. And with Wally's Quarry, the path to an ecotopia gets a little more complicated.
Good evening. The long-running dispute over noxious gas emissions coming from a landfill site.
Landfill site is a stinking landfill site. Will not be enough to stop the stench.
Wally's Quarry is a landfill located outside of Silverdale in Stoke-on-Trent. It's where the waste of the city ends up. The quarry has a website detailing its timeline. The quarry itself built in 1924, various companies taking it over until tarmac in 1997, planning permissions for a landfill in 1998, first waste distributed in 27, gas management place 2010, company merger to Red Industries 2016, landfill visible to the public 2020, and even the future plans for when it will stop. What the timeline doesn't mention is what Wally's Quarry is most famous for. The gas hydrogen sulfide slowly leaking away from the site, causing the stink. An eggy, putrid smell that travelled in excess of 2 miles outside through Stoke-on-Trent. The smell becomes unbearable in 2021.
This has now become a daily occurrence at Wally's Quarry in Staffordshire.
Stop the Stink was a protest against the smell. The people of Stoke went on marches, disrupted lorries, and decorated the city with signs and posters urging people to report the smell when encountered. The marches have quietened down, but sometimes when I open my bedroom window to let in some air, I still regret it. So what did Stop the Stink achieve, and what happened to it? I spoke to some of the protesters dedicated to helping the environment.
I'm Tom. I'm the Elected Activities and Community Officer at the Students' Union here at Kiel. I've been a student for 3 years and I did an Environment and Sustainability degree.
I'm Alex, I'm a first year geology student.
I'm Fiona, I'm a second year Environment and Sustainability student.
Where are we now? We're in the Sustainability Bungalow. It's pretty much a 4-resident house on campus at Kiel that strives to be a living example of how students can live sustainable.
Working for Kiel University, Tom is very aware of the widespread effects of the stink.
Honestly, for myself, it's quite a nauseating smell. I know other students have reported worse health impacts to the university and the students' union about it. They can't even open their windows like during hot periods to let fresh air in because the air is not fresh. It is just air coming straight from the landfill, going straight into their houses, and honestly, they can't do it. I know local community members need air purifiers now in their houses.
On the whole, just sitting on the bus, going through that residential area, you always smell it. There's not a time where you don't smell it, really.
Tom, Fionn and Alex all supported Stop the Stink, but asking about the current state of the campaign, the answers weren't encouraging.
The current state of it isn't ideal. They have gotten some success in terms of the actual landfill being capped by 2026. That's if Red Industries do it. Because of the stress and the tiredness of continuing the movement, they've just stopped, and I think they just posted a couple weeks ago literally just saying, well, the final group, one of the final groups posted, yeah, we're done, we can't keep doing this.
But what are we supposed to do? If a community is struggling to fight the stink, then the problems become even larger when you're just one person. And as my interviewee said, the real issues stretched out further than just one landfill.
The source of the problem isn't, the landfill stinks. The source of the problem is we're creating waste that we need a landfill for that is stinking. So really the solution to the problem is, recycling and making less waste, which is what the bungalow strives in doing, and making sure we're striving to be more sustainable in our own personal lives. We can create less waste and we won't need big stinky landfills that in some ways have destroyed some people's lives. I know a lot of the different community members like having a lot of health issues and stuff like that, especially in the younger generation.
Has enough been done?
I don't think so, no. The massive ethos of this university is sustainability. So therefore, you know, from a university side as well, I do think we should all be doing more together. We are really disconnected from a lot of things now, especially like from a landfill point of view, from waste. You don't understand from a lot of things that like a single use, you use it for 5 minutes, but it's going to be here for long after you're dead.
Fiona and Alex showed me the outside of their bungalow. Growing crops, recycling as much as possible, using a smart heating plan with solar panels, carefully keeping their own ecotopia. Watching it all I could be reminded of was that it wasn't enough. What could we do ourselves, if anything, to help?
I think that even if individuals do act better, there's got to be systematic change. We've got to pressure the governments, otherwise it's still going to happen. There is a huge importance in pressuring government in the system.
Systemic change, authorities, the government. In our country, real change comes from those in power. But what were they doing about the Silverdale stink? Stop the Stink had spoken. I wanted to see if anyone had listened.
So I'm Aaron Bell, the Member of Parliament for Newcastle-under-Lyme, which is the constituency which Wally's Quarry landfill is located in. So we need to move away from landfills, and that's what the government has been trying to do for a long time. In fact, it's been an agenda item across successive governments. One of the reasons is because obviously landfills are not sustainable. We haven't got endless sites. You get issues like we've had here in Newcastle with Wally's Quarry. We need to encourage people to reduce the amount of waste they create. We need to encourage people to reuse things and to recycle things. And all of that is happening, and we've increased landfill tax consistently in order to discourage people from sending waste to landfill in the first place. Sustainability isn't just about waste, of course. It's about things like emissions, moving towards cleaner vehicles and all the rest of it. We do have a bit of an air quality issue above and beyond the odour problem. So we need to get people cycling, using public transport and so on, but using cleaner cars as well. From the health and impact survey I carried out in early 2021, in which I did a big public online survey of people's health, the people who've been most affected by it are people who've had pre-existing health conditions, either physical conditions which affect their breathing, such as asthma or COPD, particularly when the landfill was the odour was very, very strong. It was giving people things like nosebleeds and headaches and so on. We've had multiple briefings from the Health and Security Agency and their predecessor saying they don't think there is a long-term risk to public health.
Aaron Bell mentioned one infamous case study, a 5-year-old in Silverdale. Medical experts testified that his asthmatic condition was worsened by the hydrogen sulfide, decreasing his lifespan. Other than mentioning it, Bell couldn't make any comment on the case, still ongoing in a final court of appeal.
Planning permission for its use as a landfill was issued by Staffordshire County Council. I mean, it was opposed actually, but it was given on appeal. John Prescott, the then Secretary of State, allowed an appeal over the wishes of the Environment Agency and the County Council and the Borough Council, who all said it wasn't suitable. That planning permission is for use as a landfill until 2026, with the final restoration of the landfill, which will be basically covered with inert material and greened off. So eventually it'll be a bit like a country park, and it will fall again. At the moment it's a hill rather than but that will, as the waste settles, it will lower again. That should be completed by 2042. There's 4 monitoring stations being put around the site. At their peak, some of those were over 50% of the time. It was overnight. I think one of them peaked in the 70s. For the last few weeks, most of them have been recording somewhere between 0 and 2%. A few weeks all have been recording 0. It doesn't mean there's no odour at all, but it means it's either very short bursts that don't last more than 5 minutes, or they're below that threshold. People might be able to detect it, but it's not considered at the level that we categorise as annoyance. And that's because more of the gas is being captured. It's pretty clear from that, and also from the complaint data, that the quality has got better. It is a lot better than it was in 2021. Doesn't mean it doesn't smell, and there have been even recently particularly bad nights, and you can usually pick that up directly on Facebook or Twitter, where people might comment about it on the various groups. The next priority really is to get some accountability, because the companies still haven't apologised. They still haven't made it right for the community in any way, and that's what I want to see happen next.
I felt encouraged by Arundel's description of the future, but didn't know if the transition could really go so smooth. Let's review the facts. Stop the Stink has made an undeniable impact, from politician to person to even the company itself.
Red Industries have definitely felt the pressure. They renamed the landfill site to try and remove their association with the company.
But was it enough? Wally's Quarry is supposed to stop dumping non-hazardous waste by the end of 2026 and be restored by February 21st in 2042. These deadlines were decided in the planning permissions, without the protests impacting it. The Stink has created a bipartisanship not often seen in Stoke-on-Trent, with a Conservative Arundel strongly pushing for an environment to almost all the city's request.
That's been my priority since day one, and it's going to continue to be my priority for as long as I'm the MP.
He's pushed Stop the Stink quite well.
But Bell says that the citizens' time to fight is over.
So I think the community have played their role in raising the awareness of it, getting the press coverage, which I think puts pressure on the Environment Agency to be more proactive in what they were dealing with.
We definitely need to get involved as much as possible. We've seen that the leadership of Stop the Stink has had a really tough time in, well, first of all, getting along with each other, but also just continuing mobilization and organizing actions and continuing to, report whenever they smell the stink and all that. They're tired. And as students, we're tired as well, but I think we need to push this movement forward and continue it. I myself, I'd be happy to help others to create something like a student network to continue the great work that a lot of these different local community members have done.
Arundel left me feeling like the battle for Stoke-on-Trent had already been fought. Tom left me feeling like the battle for Earth was a lost cause. Sometimes it seems easier just to cut off your nose and smell the stench, but none of these feelings are right. Wally's Quarry is not the only environmental story of Stoke-on-Trent. In 2022, English Partnerships acquired the Silverdale Colliery site and started planning to rehabilitate it. The work began in 2007, but accelerated in 2011 when the Land Trust charity took ownership of it. Now open to the public, 2 years of restoration turned the site into a thriving country park, part of it named a site of biological importance in 2015. In 2022, I discovered this beautiful park, lake, view that was so close to my home yet almost hidden. Silverdale Country Park was a long, united effort. English Partnerships, now part of the Homes and Communities Agency, is a public body connected to the national government. The Land Trust is a charity that works with sites across the country, and everyone who picks up a piece of litter as they walk has helped sustain the ecosystem around it. I don't know if Wally's Quarry is going to have the same story, but Arundel never pretended the fight was over, and the bungalow hadn't let burnout stop them from caring. Wally's Quarry is pledged to be restored by 2042. That's almost 2 decades away right now, but from this height, everything seems smaller. Amid all the problems Wally's Quarry has caused, at the centre is an opportunity. We can learn more about the environment, local and global. We can be aware of the community around us. We can listen to the posters that ask us to call when we smell the stink. We can vote, we can speak, we can hold the people who started this stink accountable. Stoke-on-Trent can be a beautiful place.